From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
You human
on the point of order.
Honourable
telling them not to counterpunch.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Ekpo Temple is my name. I'm so elated to be here at this morning taking you the happenings in sports. On the menu, Egypt, Nigeria continue dominance in African games. Aruna retains African top sports in the ITTF rankings, and in football, Atletico Madrid Dortmund see the UEFA Champions League sports in the quarterfinals. Details of this and many more will be also when we come back from the short time. Please don't go anywhere.
Telling them not to counterpunch.
Welcome back from that break. Joining me live this morning to bring you all the scintillating stories in sports is Emmanuel Michael. Mike, welcome to the show this morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
All right, quickly, let's start with the happenings in the All-African Games where Nigeria weightlifters have again amassed more 6 medals in weightlifting event at the ongoing African Games in Ghana. The duo of Desmond Akano and Adebayo Adeyemi won 6 medals yesterday of the 5 of the weightlifting event, comprising silver and 3 bronze medals. This is the good news for Team Nigeria when you see the likes of Akano competing in the 96 kg class, in the snatch 145 kg, and recorded 191 kg in clean and jack to have a total of 336 kg to win a silver and 2 bronze medals. This is lovely if you ask me.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think the lifting department has been doing us proud. For me, I think out of the 22 medals, out of the 22 gold medals that we racked up so far, they've actually accounted for 90% of the gold medals that Nigeria have to their kitty right now, with about 15 gold medals so far coming in from weightlifting federation. I think they've been doing a very, very massive job so far. I think they truly deserve to be talked about, truly deserve to be rewarded, because for me, I think they are doing a human job out there.
Doing a human job out there, and of course, what more can we say? A lot ongoing, and it promises to be cracky. But one thing very certain is that to do this job, a lot needs to be imputed. But let's move on now to bring you more of the stories from the All-African Games, and I can tell you that Nigeria women clinch a bronze medal at the All African Games in cricket. It was a historic feat for them, getting to beat their counterpart from Uganda by 3 wickets to pick the gold medal, the bronze medal at the ongoing All African Games in Accra, Ghana.
Yeah, for me, I think it was an impressive display from them. Looking at the fact that you know, we are the lowest ranked team in that very group. To pick the bronze medal, I think for me, it's quite surprising when we saw other teams that are even way better in performance, talking about cricket over the years here in Africa compared to Nigeria, that have not made their mark when it has to do with cricket. I think it's what, you know, rejoicing for, because I didn't expect us to at least get a single medal right from the cricket angle, but then they were able to prove me wrong by going to pick up valuable medals out there. I think they truly deserve, you know, an accolade for what they've done.
Why the female cricket team got a bronze medal? The male, with Steve Tikolo as the coach of the side, they watched from the sideline, and hopefully on Sunday they will commence their own formula to see if they can also achieve a medal at the ongoing African Games in Accra, Ghana. Talking about African Games this time around, let's talk some football news. As president of Nigerian Football Federation, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gasso has called on the boys of the under-20 to do the needful and get more ready to do their best as they confront Senegal's Young Lions or the Terengas tomorrow in a make or break encounter at the 13th edition of the All African Games. This game will be played at the University of the Ghana Sports Stadium in Accra.
Yeah, I think this charge is coming from the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, talking about Ibrahim Gusso. For me, it's very timely. Looking at this player performance so far, that's about the under 20. I think they have not been very, very impressive. You know, we lost our first game. In our second game, we just managed to win our second game 1-0 courtesy of that penalty. So in our last group game, which is going to be against a very strong Senegal, I think they need to buckle up their seatbelt. They need to improve on their game. They need to start taking their chances, so that we can be able to at least scale through the group stage, because Senegal is not a pushover, they're a very, very strong side. So I think Ladambosu has his boys, they truly need to do more if they truly want to get any positive result out of this very game against Senegal, because Senegal as well will be hoping to outclass us. Why? Because Senegal as well, they won their first game, lost their second game. So this is more like a very balanced game. Both teams are in a very, very you know, dicey situation. It's going to be a make or a mar game for both countries. So I think the Nigerian under-20, they need to step up.
All right, so let's move away from that, even if we know that the Falconets will also have to play their game, I mean the last game, even if they've qualified to the semi-finals of the ongoing African Games in Accra, Ghana. Let's look at how the table looks now, and I can authentically inform you that Egypt and Nigeria maintain the dominance on the medals table at the 13th edition of the African Games. The North Africans stayed at the top of the medal slot with 53 gold, 21 silver, and 20 bronze medals. This is look lovely when you look at the fact that they will not stop anytime soon in banking the gold medals for themselves.
Yeah, great feat for the Egyptians out there. They have been a household name when it has to do with the All-African Game. I think they've dominated right from day one of the competition. And of course, if we go back into the history of the All-African Game, you discover that this country, talking about Egypt, they've won the All-African Game more than any country out here in Africa, and they're closely followed by Nigeria as well, who is the second best you know, country in the history of you know, the All-African Game since 1965. So I think the Egyptians, they've been able to set up a structure and put up an infrastructure as well, you know, being manned by men and women who truly understand what it means to, you know, be a sport administrator out there, and that is why they are reaping the reward of their hard work so far. So looking at the point or the disparity between you know, the Egyptian and Nigeria when it has to do with the medal slug, I think it is very, very far, and I don't see Nigeria meeting up, even if we still have other areas that is our area of strength, such as athletics. I do not see Nigeria meeting up to this, because they've actually, you know, topple us with a very, very large, you know, margin out there.
It's about 27 goal difference between Nigeria and and Egypt. And we look at what Nigeria have achieved so far. They've won 22 gold, 10 silver, and 16 bronze medals. And like I said, very difficult there to say you want to achieve, you want to equate, gold. 56 gold medals compared to 22. I mean, it looks like we don't even have enough time, and we don't even have enough sporting discipline to cover up these ones.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. And the only area that we can actually bank on is the athletics, which for me, I do not see us, racking, all of the medals there. We will certainly get one or two medals, especially gold medals when it has to do with athletics. But then, for us to close up this gap against Egypt, we need to be very, very effective in other areas of the sporting, activity out there. But then, like I say, it's going to be a very big mountain hill for us to climb in our attempt to also, catch up with Egypt. We are just playing the catch up, which for me, I think is outside of the equation.
But one wonders, if Egypt can be this good in the continent of Africa,
yeah,
why is it that when it comes to World Athletics Championship in athletics and maybe in the global competition like global competitions like the Olympics, we don't get to see them dominate in fine fashion? Rather, names from Africa you get to see is Kenya, and maybe even Uganda. You don't get to Ethiopia. You don't even get to see Egypt. And you're wondering if they are this good, why are we not seeing them competing highly at the global arena?
I think that is a question that is possibly good for the administrators out there to answer. You can't just be, dominating Africa when it has to do with the global stage. You are nowhere to be found. I think for me, I listened to their sport minister the other day about a week ago where he was talking tough as well. This same question was posed to him on the reason why Egypt failed not to, perform optimally when they get to the global stage. He said that a lot of things has gone wrong in the past, which they are actually, trying to correct some of those errors so that, they can perform optimally in any global showpiece. And of course, he's trying to use the upcoming Paris Olympic game as a yardstick to what the Egypt can do. They say that they've been able to work on themselves, work on some of those errors out there. And in the next Olympic game, he boasted that the world is going to see the best of Egypt out there. Let's hope and keep our fingers crossed, hoping that they are going to live up by that their word and also live up to the expectation of Africans, because for Africa, they've actually conquered Africa when it has to do with the All-African game. But when you get to the global showpiece, they are nowhere to be found. But let's hope that this time around, I'm taking the word of their sport minister, hook, line, and sinker, that indeed they are going to change the narrative.
They're going to change the narrative, and of course, Nigeria came second in the last edition of the All-African Games, and it looks like they might just achieve that again this time around. South Africa, Algeria, South Africa, and Tunisia complete the first 5 best team at the All-African Games on medals rankings. Away from that, now let's bring you some table tennis news, as Quadri Arona maintained his status as the best-ranked African player in the world, occupying the 11th position ahead of African's champion Omar Assar of Egypt, who is ranked 22nd in the world, while compatriot Ofiong Edem leads the rise of African players in this week 11th ranking released by the International Table Tennis Federation. This is a good news for Arona Quadri, even if in recent time we have not done so well. At the last match they had with our team, as a team, we did not do so well, but then it never affected him from becoming world number 1.
Yeah, individually, Haruna Quadri has done a whole lot for himself this season, being very, very effective and very active as well, taking part in one competition or the other. Even though he was unable to win a gold medal, but then he was able to put up an impressive outing for himself. And he has been very, very consistent this season for me, and that is why he still remains as African, number 1, and seated 11th on the world ranking. I think it's an impressive one. I think the only player that comes close to him here in Africa is Omar Assar, who is seated 22 in the world. So I think it's a great fit for Haruna Quadri. But then I think he also needs to improve on his game as well going forward. Because for me, I wish to see him as possibly world number 5. That is going to be a whole lot of joy for us. But then we shouldn't always count on Haruna Quadri. We need to develop our tennis very well so that other young lad, other young champ as well can also toe that line. just come to think of it, if we have 3 or 4 Haruna Quadri in our team out there, I don't think that the Egyptians should have dominated us the way they did in this just ongoing All-African game, where the Egyptians actually dominated every angle of the table tennis out there, racking all the gold medals that is available. So we should not always bank on one star. We should be able to develop like 2 or 3 or even 4 stars out there. You remember what happened last time out when we actually attended the international table tennis competition out there, courtesy of the fact that Haruna Quadri was got food poisoning 24 hours before the competition. We could not win a single game out there, and that is what it means if you bank all of your egg in one basket. I mean, when it get crashed, then everybody is affected. So I hope that we should be able to produce 4 or 5 Haruna Quadri, so that whenever we get to see this kind of competition, we can also bank on them and not on one person.
Bank on them and not on one person, and let's see how it goes. It's very important that we get to build up the momentum ahead of the competition that we are. And this time around, table tennis looks like one that we need to change the narrative, because one man cannot be running the show in the world of tennis. But the latest ranking, as was released, followed the conclusion of the table tennis event at the ongoing 13th edition of the All-African Games in Ghana. Edem, who won bronze in the women's singles in Ghana, gained 45 step up to be rated 97th as the best ranked female Nigerian player in the world. However, the biggest mover in the world is Algeria's Lucy Mubarak, who was unranked before the African Games but moved by 544 steps to be ranked 103 in the world as the highest ranked Algerian female player globally. While bronze medalist in the men's single event and Senegal's Ibrahima Daoui moved by 26 steps to be ranked 67th in the world. Egypt, Dina Meshrev and Hannah Goda are still the best ranked African players at 26 and 30 respectively. All right, now let's take the first shot. When we come back, we'll talk about what is happening in tennis, where we still have a lot to bring you in long tennis at the ongoing tennis Indian Wells Tennis Masters Series in California.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
You're a human order.
But they are to halt the crash. So no agreement with the EU, but
Telling him not to counterpunch.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's T Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. And it's time now to head straight to the Indian Wells. It is the 50th edition and the 36th edition of the WTA ongoing in Florida, where it's the 1000 Masters 1000 series, and a lot of upset we've seen so far. Novak Djokovic has been ousted out. We saw some big names ousted out. Cameron Norrie ousted out. Now, world number 2, Aryna Sabalenka, also fell to a surprise defeat by American Emma Navarro in the 4th round of the Indian Wells. This is not. I mean, we've seen a lot of upset in this year's Indian Wells.
Definitely a lot of upset, especially in the ATP, where Novak Djokovic was also hosted out Cameron Norrie as well. A lot of upset for me, and going into this game, I do not, imagine that Aryna Sabalenka is going to lose this very one to a player that is relatively unknown, not unknown for the sake that she has not been there. She has been there on the court, but then coming up against Aryna Sabalenka, who is world number 2, I expected a whole lot from Aryna Sabalenka to be able to take her opponent to the cleaner, but it wasn't to be, as she fell short of expectation. I think for me, this is the beauty of the game, where we have some minnows coming to cause an upset. It keeps tennis fans on the edge, trying to not anticipate the next move, because when a sport becomes predictable, then that that vibe, that excitement will be lost when any sport become very predictable. So for me, these are some of the ingredients that spices up every competition out there, when we see smaller names or smaller countries coming to cause an upset.
Smaller names, countries coming to cause an upset. Meanwhile, American third seed Coco Golf claimed an emphatic 6-2 win over Belgium's Elise Mertens. Both Golf and Navarro are bidding to become the first American woman to win at Indian Wells, since Serena Williams did that in 2001. Can she get this one done for herself?
A lot to play for. There's still time. It would be an early call for me to make at this point, but if they continue to push very hard, I think it's very visible. It's not unachievable, but then there's a whole lot of obstacles standing before their way. They must break this jinx that has been set for a quite long time. But then, like I said, it's very achievable.
2 more Americans are doing so well. Their golf will play either 11th seed Daria Kasatkina of Russia or China's Yuan Yul in the semi-finals, while Navarro will face Greek 9th seed Marial Sakari or Francis Daine Parry. In the men's draw, Norway's 9th seed Kaspar Ruud avoided a shock exit with a hard-fought win against the French veteran Gael Monfils, who fell to a 3-6, 6-7, 6-4 defeat after 2 hours and 27 minutes. Ruud will now take on American 17th seed Tommy Paul, or at least Luca Nardi, in the quarterfinals. Luca Nardi was the man who also out Novak Djokovic, and of course, against Tommy Paul, it looks like to be a crunch one for him. I asked you the other day, what do you make of this particular one? And you think that anything can happen? I mean, you won't be surprised if anything happens, but Tommy Paul should buckle himself more, because when a young lad all starts the likes of Novak Djokovic, you can say that such player have something to offer.
Definitely, Tommy Paul need to up his game out there because this young champ out there having defeated the world #1 Novak Djokovic is not by fluke. Of course, he watched that game. He saw how effective and how competitive the young lad was out there. And if you anybody that don't want to take him serious, then such person is going to pay for it dearly because this confidence after winning Novak Djokovic is brewing, and that hope, that belief is already spiced up. So within him out there, that is even going to do more. But then no one game is ever the same. Maybe he's going to face a very difficult opponent, and that makes it very, very dicey. But one thing is certain, that is going to be a mouth-watering clash.
Mouth-watering clash, if you ask me, and of course we'll keep our finger crossed to see how far this certainly we go. But away from that, now let's bring you some other sports news this morning on Atlantic Television Network, as a Russian sports minister yesterday said that Moscow should not boycott the upcoming Paris Olympic, despite the restriction on its athletes over the Kremlin's offensive in Ukraine. The International Olympic Committee last year suspended Russia from the games, but gave the green light for Russian athletes to compete as neutrals outside of team event, as long as they do not actively support the Ukraine campaign. This is a little bit dicey, but the man has said, don't boycott. Yes, as a team you cannot participate. Russia cannot participate as a team. Every team sports they can be part of it, but as individual athletes they can. So he's encouraging them to be part of it. And I think it's a good one coming from a minister, even if there's still the crisis between them and Ukraine.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, it's a good one from the minister because this will help the players as well, some of the athletes as well, there to keep, in shape with the game. Because when they are in shape, despite the fact that they are competing as a neutral, who knows if this ban is lifted against them in the near future? That will also help the players, the athletes as well, to keep up their shape as well. So I think it's a nice one. To bow out of the competition or being not attending the competition, it will definitely affect these sportsmen and women out there, because when you are not active and whenever the ban is lifted or they finish serving the ban, that is if Russia continue to make an appeal and some certain level of clemency is granted to them, then if some of these athletes or some of their sportsmen and women don't take part in the Olympic game, they will not be very, very effective. They won't be competing, on the high level where they come back into the game, because you know what it is for you to be away from the game for 1 year, 9 months. You have seen how it affected some tennis players out there when they go out for maternity leave or out injured. After they come back, they find it very difficult to get back to their mojo and pick up that rhythm. So I think for me it's a nice one. You have to keep the players in shape.
Have to keep the players in shape. But I'm just wondering why it is very difficult for Russia, to eradicate or stay away from this doping issue. I mean, a lot. It's been protracted with them and WADA. I'm just wondering why it is difficult as an institution, to clear their name from doping.
But then there's also a theory that because of the fact that US is a NATO member, and because US is one of the world power that is actually against the Russian invasion, and over time, US have never been in the same in the same line of thoughts or ideas over the years. So it was reported, or somehow it was muted, that that the USA, because of the fact that they are not in tandem with Russia, they are trying to make everything possible that whenever the Russian athlete comes, when it has to do with their doping issue, doping test, the United States of America try to find one way or the other to fault their athlete, thereby making them to be in the web of the anti-doping body. If there is anything to go by from that report or from that line of thought, I think most of them you cannot actually say that they are guilty if there is anything to go by.
No, but it has nothing to do with this is not political matters. These are matters that we know they are sport-related matters.
Yeah.
If you dope, or if you are found doping, you will be prosecuted.
Yeah.
And it goes on. So it's about athletes, and the fact that some of these findings or investigations, tail back to the federation, the Russian Olympic Charter, to as being the co-sponsors, or sometimes they are fingered as organizing this, and so it becomes challenging just to enhance performance. So that's why it is like that is an institution. Otherwise, they will single the players and ban, isn't it? But because it's more like an institution, it's coming from. I mean, investigation shows that the officials in the IOC or the sports unit, over there, motivates the activities of doping in Russia, and possibly that could be why. So I don't think it's being fingered from the perspective of politics or political affiliations being involved here.
Yeah, for me, if the organogram of the sporting unit of Russia is also part and parcel of that, it means it's an organized crime.
No, that's it.
So for me, but then they are still laying claim that it's not an organized crime, that the U.S. is trying to influence the process so as to punish Russia. But for me, if it is an organized crime, then they should have been able to realize that these things, taking up of drug-enhanced performance, I think is not good for the sport either, because if you want to compete, you must come in a clean slate and compete. If you get to win, then we know that you did that out of your natural strength, other than using some banned substance such as nandrolone, progesterone, and the rest of them out there to compete in order for you to have an edge over your opponent out there. That would be very bad.
Very, very bad, yeah. But let's leave sports now and let's talk football matters. As yesterday we saw event from March the 25 fixtures in the Nigeria Premier Football League. 10 matches were played across different centers. 22 goals were scored at home. We saw 8 home wins, 1 away win, and 1 score draw in that those encounters yesterday in the Nigeria Premier Football League.
Yeah, massive stats out there, an incredible performance from some of the team out there, especially Enugu Rangers, who went away to North to pick up a very vital point. Aqua United coming back to winning, bouncing back to winning ways as well. Heartland of Owerri breaking the jinx by Christian Obi, who also won at home yesterday by 2 goals to nothing. I think it was an impressive outing generally when you talk about the NPFL. We saw some teams out there scoring high number of goals, like 4 goals. I think it's an impressive week of the week 25th, of the NPFL. So for me, I think, like I said earlier, if we continue to improve on our games day by day, definitely we are going to catch up with the rest of African countries. I won't talk about the rest of the world right now, because as it stands right now, the disparity between our footballing organization right here is quite different from that of the outside. I'm talking about the African continent, such as Algeria, Tunisia, South Africa, who can continue to improve our league day by day. Will definitely be up there with the likes of Tunisia, the likes of South Africa for me. So that does the job. But in all, it was a mouth-watering encounter game yesterday in some of the midweek fixtures out there.
Middle fixtures, and so let's look at the games from each of the centers now. At the New George Stadium, it was Plateau United 4, Gombe United 0. I mean, Gombe United, I think this season is one of their worst so far since their recent participation in the Nigeria Premier Football League. I mean, losing away games like never before. Gombe United used to be a very strong force, but it looks like this season relegation might soon be their call.
Likely it is looking so, because they have been on the drop zone for quite a long time right now, and nothing seems to be changing. But then you want to also give kudos to Plateau, who is also gunning for the league title this time around. They are fighting from all fronts, closing the gap, going for the jugular against the league leaders, talking about Lobby Stars, who is just about 4 points that is separating, both of them. No, 2 points rather that is separating them right now. So we want to give kudos as well to Plateau United, because they have been very, very good so far this season. They've been informed, contending for the league as well. I think for me it was an impressive display. 4 goals to nothing. I think it's a good one, a convincing victory for them. Convincing victory for them.
Lobby Stars were 3-2 better off than Rivers United at the Lafayette City Stadium. Rivers United did all they could But I mean, Alobi Stars showed why they are one of the best team this year or this season in the Nigeria Premier Football League.
Definitely, you can't take anything away from this Lobby Star. They are playing more like a team this season in the NPFL. They are playing more like a team, and they understand themselves better, and they need. They do what they needed to do at every given game to ensure that they close home all 3 points, or even possibly take a point away or at home. So I think they've actually find their rhythm. They are actually, get going, and they are in pole position to at least lifting this league. But it is an early call to make here because we still have about 14 to 13 games to go. So I think this makes it very, very dicey. But then they are showing that sign that indeed we want to win this league. We want to win this league. By the performance that they are putting up so far, it's very, very clear that if other teams such as Plateau, Enyimba as well, who is also contending for the league, but unfortunately they lost their last game. If they don't keep winning games like this, I assure you that Lobby Star will definitely, run home with this title this season.
Then Kano Pillars, where the very tough encounter there at the Sanabata Stadium. The Pillars won a draw with Enugu Rangers. Enugu Rangers went away, big point. But where Enugu Rangers is going now with their coach, Felix Chiku, they have shown that they can go to anywhere in Nigeria, and this is how the league should be. Doggedly pick a point and come back home, or even win there.
Of course, Enugu Rangers, they are also in the mix, for the title this season as well. They have been contending among the top 5 teams so far that is contending for the league. And their result so far has not been by fluke, it's not been by luck, because for me, I do not believe there is anything called luck in football. It has to do with your output there on the pitch of play and the technical and tactical, output of the coaches as well, that also help a team to win, a major, trophy in football, and not a bad luck. So Enugu, they are doing pretty well so far, going far away to the north to pick up a very valuable point. I think for me, it shows their title credential. It shows that indeed they truly want to push hard and see if they can actually, have a sneak on the trophy this season. But then I think they should continue to perform optimally this way. Who knows if Lobby Star or Plateau is going to falter along the way, and thereby giving them the opportunity, to have a say when it has to do with the tables out there.
Sunshine Stars defeated Casino United 1-0 at the Ondo Sports Complex there, and Remo Stars, peeped Enyimba 1-0. This surely must be a very tough encounter, but somehow, teams that want to do well, teams that want to pick the ticket, teams that are vying for continental ticket when games like this are called upon. And I think that it's a tough one, but Remo Stars did the needful against Enyimba.
Yeah, they did the needful, and that is what it means. For Enyimba, they've actually been struggling for the past 3 games right now. They've not been at their best. Last 3 weeks ago, they went to Uyo. Well, we were hoping that Enyimba was going to pick up 3 points. They went to Uyo and they lost to Aqua United 3-1. And in their second game, they won controversially, because that 1-0 die-minute winning is still a controversy. People are still talking about it. In fact, the authority also is still looking on that game. And in their third game, when you expected them to pick up all 3 points so as to close the gap against the league leader, they actually faltered by losing 1-0. I think for me, I think that the coming back of the coach, talking about Finidi George and Olorunleke Ojo, their captain and the goalkeeper after the African Cup of Nations, should have added more depth, should have added more value, should have boosted the morals of the player because of their exploit that they just concluded the African Cup of Nations. But you look as though since they came back, the result is not actually going their way as expected. I don't know what seems to be the problem, but then they need to factor that out as early as possible if they truly want to lay their hands and defend the title which they won last season.
And let's see if such can happen. But then a lot, to still look at as just March the 25. A lot can still happen from now to March the 30 to March the 38. But Aqua United, they also yesterday showed a strong statement. After losing away from home the last time, they defeated Bender Insurance 3-1. I'm sure that Monday Odige, the coach of Bender Insurance, would have we talked tough again yesterday because the way he reacts whenever his side loses. But this is an emphatic showing. Going back to the Akpabio International Stadium might just be a help, for Akwa United. It looks like this is a sound statement from them.
Yeah, for me, it looks as though the Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, it seems to be the magic point for Akwa United since they left Eke Township down to their former home, which is the Gospel Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. Their first game out there, they actually trashed Inyi by 3-1, and they look as though they are beginning to get that home support whenever they play at home out there. Playing another game at home in Uyo, second time after they came back to the Uyo Stadium, winning convincingly 3-1. I think it's a good one for them. It looks as though that is their lucky ground, and they must hold fast to it and continue to improve if they truly want to leave that drop zone, because Akwa United, they have actually struggled this since the start of this season. But then I think for me, I'm not too sure that they've really hit up that form we used to know of them, because whenever they win very convincingly, all hope will be very high, hoping that they're going to replicate the same feat in their next game. But when it matters most, they will just crumble like a pack of cards. But then I wish them well. I wish them to continue in this line so that at least they can be able to leave the drop zone, because it would be very, very unfortunate that Akwa United, who is the winner of the league 3 years ago, will go down to the relegation after their sister club, talking about the other club out there. What is it called?
What's their name? I think they have a particular
yes, I
name.
will remember, who also got relegated as well. But then I think Akwa United, they can still beat the drop zone if they can be able to continue consistently to get this kind of positive result. They will definitely beat the drop zone this season. Definitely
beat the drop zone this season. Heartland defeated the Abia Warriors. This is part of the Eastern Derby there. 2-0 it ended in their favor, while Kwara United beat Bayelsa United 1-0. But Kwara United, before within a week, they got they got the reinstatement of their former GM, and this would have been a motivation for them. Doma United also lost at home to Shooting Stars, and the Oracle performed some Oracle there, at away. Doma United and Gombe United, it looks like these days you don't even know which one is a private club and which one is the one sponsored by the government.
Doma United, for me, I think they actually started the league like a house on fire. Doma United and Sporting Lagos, they started the league on a fine footing. But it looks as though as the league continued to wear on, they seem not to find their footings any longer. So I think it's a quite disappointing result for Doma United, who also were doing very, very well before now. So I think there seems to be lagging behind in this last lap of the season so far. I think they truly need to go back and work on themselves. Look at what seems to be the problem, correct it as early as possible so that they can possibly bounce back and to reckoning, because Doma United, I tell you, they've actually impressed me since the first half of the season, where they were actually getting positive results. But at this last lap, they seems not to be getting it right as they continue to lose games both home and away. Even the Pantami Stadium, that looks to be a very strong ground for them, they've actually lost a home game out there. So I think it's a disappointing result for Doma United. Indeed,
disappointing, just as it was disappointing for Sporting Lagos as they lost to Niger Tornadoes there 1-0 in that encounter. So these are some of the games yesterday, marked the 25th of the Nigeria Premier Football League. But let's move on now to some other interesting stories, and this time to the national, who becomes the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as Olise and 18 others have applied for the job of the Super Eagles. Emmanuel Amunike, Samson Siasia, and among those that have applied. I'm wondering, Samson Siasia, the ban is yet to be cleared. Yeah, the ban will be cleared this year, but he wants to become the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I don't know how this will sound, but for me, he's still under a ban, and that ban will formally be removed this year. So I don't understand why he's going for this top position. I was thinking that maybe he just rest a while, somebody who is still under a ban.
I don't know what is in his mind out there, because you are still under a ban and you are applying for a job while you are still under a ban. I don't know what is running through his mind. Possibly maybe he has a godfather within that is trying to press a button for him to see if he can be able to get a soft landing before then. So, but then I think for me, Samson Siasia, he's a good coach. Looking at what he's done with the junior team over the years, but I prefer Emmanuel Amunike for me, because this man, he has garnered a whole lot of experience, coaching the junior team, and as well, he has some couple of players out there that he has worked with in the national team, that have seen them grow to the height they find themselves today. The likes of Victor Osimhen grew under the tutelage of this man, Emmanuel Amunike, not forgetting Samuel Chukwueze as well. There are other couple of players out there in the national team presently that have also passed through the tutelage of Emmanuel Amunike. And we saw his footballing philosophy. We know that he's very technically sound for me. So I think if you ask me who should take up the sport or the mantle of the Super Eagles job, Emmanuel Amunike perfectly fits into that picture for me.
Let's see how far, but the onus lies in the hands of the Nigerian Football Federation to decide who becomes the next coach of the Super Eagles. And until then, we'll just keep mutating and keep suggesting, and also keep airing our thought on who we feel could man the affairs and also elevate the standard of Nigerian football. Haven't done so well at the just concluded African Cup of Nations. And with the best of players around the world, one thinks that any good coach should be able to utilize the human resource we have in the team and the strength of the team, to achieving success at continental and global football showpiece. All right, away from that now, CAF have, of course, requested that they will have to see the request of the Nigerian Football Federation to move next month's Women Olympic Football Tournament final qualifying fixture first leg encounter between Nigeria and South Africa by 1 hour. The game, which is the opening leg of the fixture, will be determined which of the teams will be one of Africa's two flag bearers at this year's Women Olympic Football Tournament in France. I was initially to start at 4 p.m. on Friday, 5th of April, but the South Africans have now chosen that they have to, prepare massively. So let's see how far this request. I'm sure that CAF will look into it, and they will do the needful there.
Definitely, the CAF, they are already looking at that direction. Before a country will request for such, then they have to look at it critically and evaluate it and see the reason. If the reasons are cogent and acceptable, then they are definitely going to grant it for me. And I think that timing which they are requesting is okay, because in African terrain, 4 p.m. the sun is still very, very hot here, so it will affect the performance of the player. That is why they are requesting that it be shifted from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Local time, which for me, I think it will be okay, because by then I think the weather and the temperature might have been conducive enough for the players to be able to have a good game out there.
And now let's move now to club football. Bournemouth produced one of the greatest Premier League comeback as they recover from 3-0 down to beat Luton in a 7-goal thriller at the Vitality Stadium yesterday.
Very thrilling encounter. You needed to watch that game. You saw a whole lot of skills, a whole lot of football display out there, a whole lot of techniques and tactics on and off the pitch out there. You saw the two coaches on the touchline very, very eager to make that changes, to make that difference out there, dishing out instruction from the touchline, and at the end of it all, coming down from 3 goals down in the English Premier League to beat a certain Luton Town that is also fighting very strong. I mean, this Luton Town, there's certainly, if there's anything that they have going for them, is the ability to score goals. It's just that their defense line is very, very fragile. That is why even if they meet up against some of the big teams, the likes of Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, they will definitely score you. Talking about Luton Town, they will definitely score you goals. But their problem, like I've said, is that their defense is very, very porous. After scoring those goals, they can't defend it. They just still concede. going 3 goals up against Bournemouth, but Bournemouth turned the game around to its head and, you know, came back, equalized 3-3, and, you know, scored the winning goal. That was a massive display from Bournemouth point of view. Great display. If they continue with this kind of fighting spirit, I tell you, Bournemouth will certainly finish very high this season.
And now let's move now to wrap up conversation here this morning on Atlantic Television Network. It's the UEFA Champions League, and yesterday, clearly, we've seen the last set of games that concludes the round of 16 matches. Borussia Dortmund have qualified against PSV, as well as Atletico Madrid, who did it against Inter. That's, for me, quite surprising because, I mean, a lot of people would have thought otherwise. We saw Sancho score the goal in that particular encounter, you know, at the stadium in Germany.
Quite surprising for me because I expected Inter Milan with their form this season so far to go all the way after taking that first leg advantage, you know, to go out there. But then coming to the Spanish ground, it's always a very difficult for any team out there in Europe coming to play any Spanish team. It's always a very difficult tie out there. But then Inter were unable to produce the fine form that we've seen them so far this season on the Italian Serie A. They were unable rather to translate their fine form in the league than to the Champions League. Of course, you know that Atletico, they are not pushovers as well when it has to do with the Champions League. They have also have a couple of experience out there. We couple with a coach that truly understand what it means when that sound of Champions League, you know, national anthem or that anthem is being played, because he has also played in the final as well, so he had a whole lot of experience. It's one coach that have also spent so long a time with sitting Atletico Madrid, over 15 years and still counting. I think Diego Simeone truly need to be, you know, appreciated for the work that he has done so far. Though he is one of the, in short, he's the highest paid coaches around the globe right now as he stands. I think for me, it's not a mean feat. You saw the changes that he did that yesterday in the game when the result was not forthcoming, and when the changes occurred, they actually changed the, you know, the tide out there. I think for me, it was an impressive display from Atletico point of view. Taking the game down to penalty shootout, and of course, you saw how their goalkeeper was able to make a very fine and a vital save added that keep them going. And then for now, they've actually made it through to the quarterfinal. Congratulations to Atletico Madrid. All
right, later this evening we'll take a closer look at the UEFA Champions League. What next now? Now that we are done with the round of 16 matches, what are the permutations? You know, we'll look at the draws for the quarterfinals, as well as other emerging stories from now to the 6 o'clock hour when we come back for Sports 3. Ekpo Temple is my name. I did the show with Emmanuel and Michael this morning. Do have a lovely day, but stay away from trouble. And remember, it's one game, football, without violence. Bye-bye.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order. Honorable
You are a human
on the point of They are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
So no agreement with the EU, but